Hey Messy family, welcome back to the channel. I'm Curtis.
I'm Sahanadi.
In today's segment, we're going to be reviewing a story time by an elementary school teacher. Now listen, Messy family, this story right here is going to be a wake-up call to all of us parents. This is probably one of the main reasons why we need to stop giving our children so much privacy, okay? After this video, I advise you all to go check your kids' phones and be in their privacy as if privacy does not exist.
There's no way I'm the only teacher that had a kid. I'm definitely not the only teacher that had a kid Googling how to kill the teacher while they were teaching in front of the class. But let's get into it so I can tell you guys what the hell happened. So before I do it, let me just do a quick disclaimer. This is not from the school district that I'm in. This is from my prior school district. This is actually when I taught 4th grade and I am now a 5th grade teacher. Let's get into it. So let's start this by saying the kid that Googled it was totally expected. Expected from me, expected by the last year's teachers, and probably expected by admin as well. Maybe even the parents. You know how that goes. This was not the first scary incident that the kid has been involved in. But we know the education system is so flawed that we don't do anything until something actually happens. So let's rewind 3 years ago, right after COVID. I had a kid in my class, a little girl, and she was, let me get the best word, different. Different from my other kids, played by herself, just different, that's the best way I can put it. Let's go back to the other incidents that she had that led up to this wanting to kill my teacher moment. She was sitting behind another kid, and that kid turned around to ask her a question, but he had his hand on her desk and she stabbed him with a pencil. And when I say stab, she went like and dug the pencil in. The kid was freaking out and so was I. I ran up to her, pushed her back, got the kid's hand, got him to the nurse right away. That's incident 1. And let me tell you, that incident got her a 1-day suspension and she was back in the building because that's how it goes, right? So let's fast forward to incident 2, numero dos. So one day her desk was at the corner because after the pencil incident, I kind of separated her and put her at a corner so that if she had to sit next to someone, it would only be one person except for 2. That was honestly my first way of distancing her so that it would be less of any altercations. So her desk was at a corner and one of my students was walking by her desk and she had a water bottle that has those tops that have the hook like that. And I guess he touched the water bottle and somehow his 2 fingers was in the hole of the water bottle, right? No biggie, nothing strange. Kids touch things. That's what they do. They walk by and they touch things. But not to this child because she did not like that he touched her water bottle. So when his fingers was in the water bottle, she decided to twist the water bottle while his fingers were in it, and he let out the yell from hell. My head automatically turned. I was on the opposite side of the room, and he was yelling let go to her. And instead of letting go or stopping like he was asking, she stared at him with the most, I don't know, the look was evil. Again, I ran from across the room, pushing students out the way, and had to grab her hand and pull the water bottle out of her hand with his fingers in it. This little boy, once his fingers got out the bottle, the pain he was in, I can't even describe to you guys. The look that she gave me once I saved the kid let me know this was not okay. This led to another write-up and another 1-day suspension and back in school 2 days later. So this led us to another seat arrangement in the classroom. I decided she needs to sit by herself. Because not only did I feel like the other kids weren't safe, I felt as if at this point, none of us was safe. I talk a lot of mess and I could back it up, but school things it gets a little scary. Kids are a little creepy. They have so much access to things. So I was starting to worry. This is what leads us into incident 3. So incident 3, she is completely moved by herself to the back of the classroom one day. One day I'm teaching in front of the classroom and I see the other students turned looking at her. And I'm like, what the heck are they looking at? Next thing you know, there's like a puddle, I kid you not, of blood under her desk. And the kids are like, she's bleeding. She's bleeding. There's blood over there. I'm like, where the freak is the blood coming from? Because she's just sitting there. Her body was just like, she was sitting normal and she had her body like balled up. So I'm like, where the heck is the blood coming from? So I walk over to her and I'm like, are you bleeding? Like, what's happening? I say, let me see your hands, because she's like, no, I'm not bleeding. No, I'm not bleeding. But she's like this, like, no, I'm not bleeding. No, I'm not bleeding. So I'm like, let me see your hands. Because the first thing in my head was, let me see what you have done. And we do everything with our hands. She puts her hands out and her freaking nail is lifted and her finger is pouring. So I'm like, what the, like, how did that happen? We're in the middle of math class. How did this happen? The kid that was a distance away from her then yells out, she put her finger in the sharpener and pulled out the blade from the sharpener. So now I'm like, she has the blade from the sharpener. He's like, she has the blade from the sharpener. She was like taking it out this whole time you were teaching. And I guess when she was taking out the blade, she ended up cutting herself with the blade from the sharpener. So now I'm freaking out because we're like, then where's the blade? So I call admin again. I'm like, hey, she took out the blade from the sharpener. The kids are saying she has a blade. She's telling me she doesn't. Like, I need help again. So they come down right away, but the first thing they want to do is go check her fingers. 100% fine with me. I'm like, go do your thing. I'm going to check the desk because I want to make sure, but I'm giving them the heads up. Like, you should probably be careful too, because I don't know if it's in her pocket and I'm not allowed to touch her. So now me and the kids are looking for the blade in her desk. We're not finding it. She's at the nurse with admin, whoever. We can't find the blade. And now we're just left with a puddle of blood on the floor. Now the kids are looking at me. I'm looking at them. And now we're all like, it's like awkward. So somehow admin goes back to their office and then she goes to the nurse, but then gets out the nurse to go to the bathroom somehow. Like somehow she got away from everyone, right? So now the nurse calls my classroom like 15 minutes later. She's like, oh, did such and such come back to your room? I'm like, no, she didn't come. I haven't seen her. I gave her to you guys. I'm not too sure what's happening. She goes to tell me that she left the room to go to the bathroom. When there's a bathroom in the nurse, don't ask me why they allowed her to go out. But she was in the building somewhere and they could not find her. So like it in my mind is racing. I'm like, she has a blade. She's in the school. I don't know. I don't know. So within minutes, I'm able to take my kids to lunch and I say, you know what? I'm going to skip my own lunch. I'm going to go like figure this out because I don't want to put any other kid in risk or harm's way, you know? So I go around the building and I start checking the girls' bathrooms and I get to the last bathroom in the kindergarten wing. Mind you, we're in 4th grade, so there's no reason for us to be down there. But I say, let me check this last bathroom, you know? It's just, let me do it. I go into the bathroom and she's sitting on the floor in the bathroom, balled up in the corner. And I am like, this cannot be my life. I call admin, they come and get her, and that is like, I'm just looking at them. 1, how did you lose the kid? 2, like, come on. And if you guessed it, that was another 1-day suspension and she was back in 2 days like nothing happened. Go to the next video for part 2 so I can fill you in with the other story.
They need to do a home check. Like, for real.
100%.
Something wrong with that little girl. She a little disturbed.
I'm surprised they didn't send her to like they have counselors at school. Like I'm surprised they're not doing more. And the fact that they're only doing like 1-day suspension for these things, hurting other students, like people in kindergarten get suspended more days than that for doing who knows what.
See?
Like there's no way you're doing 1 day. I don't know what school this is, but 1-day suspension is wild.
Every day I'm leaning closer and closer to homeschooling my children. What would possess a kid to come to school and be so violent unless they experiencing that type of violence at home? Or maybe they're not experiencing the violence at home. Maybe she just watching Wednesday or something. I don't. Maybe she just watching scary movies that she shouldn't be watching.
Kids are very impressionable.
I want to start by saying I never thought this story would be this popular, but here we are. So after the first initial 3 incidents, that's right, 3 incidents, still in the classroom, returning 2 days later from every incident. I vocally expressed my concerns of the child probably not being fit to be in a classroom with their peers. But who listens to the teacher? You're just the teacher, right? What do you know? You're just the freaking teacher. Shut up and do your job. That's how it goes, right? After the child being returned 2 days later after every incident, one day I'm standing in front of the classroom. The class is fully there. And because this child wasn't being removed from the room, I separated her from the rest of us. And it sucks to say this, but I was like, you know what? Because at that point, the kids were feeling uncomfortable and they were like, I don't want to sit next to this person every time we would do seat arrangements. And honestly, I'm all for speaking your mind and I'm all for the no bullying policy, or the no leaving people out. But at that moment, I kind of understood how they felt just as a teacher, but I understood the children because I'm a parent. And if my child felt like he or her safety was in harm's way, then I would want the teacher to react the same way as well. Because you cannot physically kick a child out of your classroom and it takes so much to have a child removed. I was like, you know what? We're going to get through it and we're just going to separate ourselves so that everyone is comfortable. And I would put myself in the more uncomfortable situation. So when I say put myself in the uncomfortable situation, I decided to move the child closest to me, like right near my desk. And honestly, let me tell you how that went. So after the third incident, one day I was like, oh guys, we're moving seats. And everyone's like, yay, because if you're a teacher, you know kids love to move seats. So I was like, all right, everyone's going in different groups. So then I was like, everyone's going to go as a single person. There's no more groups anymore. It is going to be individual desk. So my desk was like in a corner of the room. So I was like, the best thing I can do is put them in singles so that if I did have groups and she would be the only one without a group, she wouldn't feel left out. So I moved everyone like into individual spots. And because it was COVID, we had tape on the floor so that every person knows where their desk is. So I told her, you're going to sit right here. And I attached her desk to mine. And let me tell you, she was pissed. And honestly, I was pissed too. But I did it for the safety of the kids, right? Whew. Next day, she comes in, she sits down. You can tell she's a little uncomfortable because I'm always like looking at her, watching what she's doing. I'm being overly cautious. And I think she can feel that I'm being overly cautious. So one day I'm standing in front of the class and I'm teaching a lesson and she's at her desk right next to mine. So I'm a little distance away from her now. And I'm teaching, calling people's names. Like we're just doing the regular math. While doing the math lesson, it was time to take the quiz. And because we were coming out of COVID, we were doing a lot of testing quiz on the computer for Google Classroom. So I was like, take your computers out. We're going to start the quiz. So in the meantime, like I'm telling them the directions, whatnot. Everyone's logging onto their computer. We're getting ready to start. And I'm like, all right, guys, make sure you're on the right links. Make sure I'm like, just making sure everybody's on the right thing. Once the test was started, typically I would go to my computer and put on something called Go Guardian. But for some reason this day I didn't do it. Instead of sitting back at my desk while they took the test, I started like walking around, helping another kid figure something out. I was still explaining, like giving little hints for like how to solve a problem. I was still in full blown teacher mode, as you would say. Within like 3 minutes, like the guidance counselor just rushes into the classroom. She's like, Miss Adams, like she just starts like directing the class to stop what they're doing. Everyone's gonna be pushed out. The day and age we're in, if someone's rushing in the classroom in like intense speed and then admins behind them, it's like, what the fuck is going on right now? So they like rush over to my desk and I'm like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Like, what's happening? I'm like super scared. And all the kids are like looking up. They go, because she's sitting next to me, they go right next to her. And the guidance counselor and one of the admins like, get up, let's go. But when they were walking in and she saw them, she started like moving weirdly on her computer, like just moving fast. So I'm guessing she already knew that they were there for. So they like remove her from the classroom and they're like out in the hallway with her. I still have no idea what's happening. I'm just like, everybody finish what you're doing. But the kids are like totally thrown off. Honestly, I'm thrown off. I don't even know what to do next. So within like a few 5 or 4 minutes, the counselor comes in. She's like, can I see you for a second? And I'm like, sure. So I go into the hallway with her. Nothing in life could have prepared me for what she was going to say next. She's like, I just want to let you know, like, while you were teaching, she was on her computer and she was Googling different ways to kill her teacher. Like, my mind started racing. Like, why would you do that? So then she's like telling me that once she was researching that or searching how to kill her teacher, it dinged off in the admin room and it got an alert that they were on like a not warranted website, which always, if you're a teacher, you know that if the kid researches the gun, kill, any of those keywords, it'll pin off to the admin or the tech team and they'll be right at your classroom, or they should be at your classroom right away. Once they removed the kid from the classroom, I kind of was this is expected, like, why did we have to wait until it got all the way here? So I'm like waiting for them to tell me like, what's the next steps? So then they get someone to cover my classroom for probably like 20 to 30 minutes so that they can explain to me what they saw on the computer. So I'm like super curious on like, what exactly was she going to do? Or I wanted to know, what's the top ways to kill your teacher on Google? So honestly, in a joking matter, I was like asking like, so what was the top ways? Like asking my admin team like, what was the ways? And we like joked about it, and they were like, giving you a gift. Mind you, as a teacher, all the kids do all year is give you gifts. They love to give gifts. Right away, I like texted my husband. I wanted to tell him like this is like insane. And just like me, he thought it was like an insane thing. They were like the whole, like everyone was super shocked. And I understand no one knew what to do at that moment. And even me as a teacher, at that moment, I didn't realize how serious the situation was until I went home that night. While I finished out the day, I kept thinking to myself, like, I couldn't get it off my mind. And I had someone say, one of the other teachers say, they didn't like send you home. That's like a traumatic experience. So I think personally, I was like, no, it was never an offer to go home. So while she was at the office, they did call home and spoke to her mom. And her mom was shocked, to say the least. That's what she told us, that she was super shocked. And that she had to come and pick the kid up. That was the rules that was given by the school. The counselor did let her know that she would have to see a doctor or a psychiatrist, something that day or the next day. She would have to speak to someone. But then I thought, who am I going to speak to? Like, shouldn't I be speaking to someone as well? Stay tuned for part 3 so I can tell you what happened next.
Well, there you have it. My teachers out there, don't accept any gifts from kids. This is no longer those times where they'll bring you a nice little shiny apple just to get on your good side. Now they are lacing it with poison. All right? They said that's the #1 top search thing on Google, so be careful.
I'm honestly shocked she did it on a school computer. Imagine if she was at home and she looked it up. Nobody would get a warning.
Man, I'm telling you, they must have just started doing that with the school computers, because the stuff we used to search back in the day, and it wasn't that crazy, but it was crazy, but it wasn't like school threat crazy.
Yeah.
But if they had that back in the day, oh my goodness, we would have been cooked.
When I was in school, though, we couldn't even search certain things or get on certain websites. Like, it would already be blocked off. So I'm surprised that it even let her search it up.
Right. We got to stop giving our kids so much privacy. at the end of the day. Because how are you shocked that your child is like this? You must not be monitoring your kid. I monitor my kids. My kids don't have privacy. My kids is not bad kids, but you never know with the people around them what's happening. So I'd rather be on top of it than, not and regretting it later. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comment section below.
All right, so let's get into part 3 of how my student tried to kill me while I taught. They Googled different things and different ways to kill their teacher while I stood in front of the classroom teaching them, not knowing what the heck the child was doing. So like I told you guys before in the last videos, the student, after the admin and the guidance counselors came down, the student was removed from the classroom and her grown-up was called. The grown-up was told that the child would have to be seen by a doctor or speak to someone within that day or the next day and report. In my head, I'm thinking, like the doctor is not going to fail me because just because the education system is so screwed up, like the medical system someone has to do their job, right? Someone's going to figure this out or figure this kid out. But little did I know that was the medical system is effed up as well. It just doesn't make any sense. So let's play back. The parents call, the child is in the office. The child is sent home with the parent that day. It was already probably like 12:31, so it didn't really matter. We got out of school at 3:30. So the child is just sent home with the parent, advised to do what they need to do when they get home. So I'm thinking, like we're just gonna play the rest of the day out. I was never offered to go home or any type of like anything. It was just continue the day as if. And honestly, I'm not a problematic person. No, correction. I am problematic in small situations. I am not problematic probably when I need to be problematic. And I know there's others that are just like that. So I just continue teaching out for the rest of the day, dismiss my class, go home like it's nothing. I come back to school the next day, and this is where it got weird. So back then when I taught at this school, we had to meet our kids outside in the like the blacktop, like the little play area for recess. So we met them there first thing in the morning, and then we brought them into the school. Their parents would drop them off, or they would come on the bus and they would get dropped off at the school. They would line up and we would bring them in. This particular day, I'm outside for my morning duty. I'm like waiting for all my students to come in. We are waiting for them to line up, get breakfast, get what you need to do, line up by the time we go inside. I'm standing like the way I'm sitting right now, and the kids walk toward me. So I typically can see each kid that's coming in before they come in. This is so that the kids don't rear off and go to the wrong place or try to go play with their friends or try to leave after the bus has dropped them off. The teachers has a clear sight of the students. So I'm waiting for my class, and I'm like talking to my teacher friend from the same grade level. We're like talking, we're side by side, and I see the kid, the little girl, walking into the play area. So now I'm like a little confused, and my mind is like freaking racing. I'm like, how is this possible? Because now there's no suspension as well. So she just comes in, and I'm not gonna go to the kid and be like, why are you here? Because that's not okay, right? I don't want to embarrass her. So I just allow her to line up, and I'm just looking at my phone, like looking for an email or something that's saying like this kid is gonna be here. Maybe I missed something, or maybe I didn't do my part. I figured there was no email, no notification saying that the kid will be here today. It was just zero communication. So we line up as normal, and then I know it was weird because some of the other kids was like saying the same thing I'm saying, like, how is she here? So we are lining up, we're walking inside. I let them sit down like normal. And I finally, they're sitting down doing morning work, and I email someone at the front asking, like, why is the kid back into the school building? Because even, like, I just thought, like, it would just be some type of time or some type of consequence. So I'm waiting for a response, and like a few minutes later, someone from the front office emails me. And when I open the email, I'm thinking like they're gonna say it's a mistake. We're gonna come down and get the kid. I don't know what's mom's doing. I just thought that it was gonna be something that let me know that it's not us as a school, it's the parents sending the kid. But when I opened the email, it stated that the child only had to be sent to a doctor, be seen by a doctor. And it was up to the doctor to say when the child was able to go back into the school. I get it. Doctors typically say when people are okay when they're sick. So I was thinking that, it wouldn't be up to the doctor, but I was told that the child was able to be in school because the doctor kind of okayed it and said that the child was ready to be back. Being that the doctor said it was okay, we had no choice. I guess they had no choice but to let the child in the building, despite of how the child made myself feel or the other kids. Like, didn't care. Well, it didn't matter how the other kids felt in the classroom because it wasn't in our hands at that point. School day just continued like normal. Like, despite of how I felt, the other kids still had to learn. So I just had to continue the day as is. Like, despite of my uncomfortability, I'm still a teacher, so I am there for not just the one child, but for the other children as well. All I could do the whole day was watch her. Like, at no point was I a good teacher that day or that week because my mind was on this student when she went to the bathroom, when she came in, when she opened her computer, when she pulled something out of her backpack. It was just it was just like a weird thing. And at that moment, I knew, like, when I was uncomfortable, that I probably shouldn't be there, or I probably wouldn't be able to. Is that I liked the school that I was teaching at, and I actually really loved one of the admin team. They were like family to me. But it was just like I in my head I was second guessing a lot. The thing is that I loved the kids there, and I built this really really good relationship with the students that I had that year. But I knew, like, it was just it was just an uncomfortable situation. At that moment, I was a lot younger. This is like 4 years ago, so I was a little bit younger, and I think my mind has grown as a teacher these last 4 years. That if that happened to me today, I would have left at that moment. But I stayed there, and I even came back the next year for a portion of the year. But then I can tell you, the next year it got worse. And being that I stayed, that's when it just got worse. The next year was horrible. And I didn't even get through the whole school year. It was like the next year, it was because I handled that situation so well, they thought I was fucking superwoman. I'll come back when I have to get through the day to give you guys part 4 of how I resigned and how big of an issue they made.
Superintendents have to do a better job at monitoring those schools. Like, you know the superintendent, right? Person who pretty much runs all of the schools in the district. They're like the head honcho over the principal. That's the person the principal reports to. They have to do a better job of just monitoring, maybe just taking trips down to the school, holding the principals accountable for these type of things. There's no way you allow a kid to assault another kid on 2 different occasions, and this kid is still showing up just a day later, and even made a threat towards the teacher trying to figure out how to take her life. Like, who do we hold accountable in these type of situations? This ain't a police issue. This is a superintendent. This is a principal issue.
I think if the parents of those kids that got harmed, like, pushed more on the situation or pressed charges, then they would take it more serious. Or if the teacher made it a bigger deal, like, why is the student still in my class? If she's a threat to me also. I think a lot of them just probably sugarcoated it and just let it go.
Yeah, definitely parents can be held accountable more too when it comes to situations like this. Instead of playing so delusional, if you know your child did it, it don't matter what somebody else did to them or not. Your child is acting out in such an irrational way. Do it really matter what happened? What will cause your child to stab another kid in his hand? Do it really matter how it got to that point? If your child has no bruises and stuff like that, like if he never touched your child, that's the first thing your child thinks is to physically hurt someone. It's only gonna get worse with that child as they get older. These parents gotta be living in fear to sleep. These are the kids that wake up and take your ass out while you sleep. Somebody gotta say it. It is true. You keep raising your kids like this, you're gonna be talking to God pretty soon. You gotta get some authority in these kids' lives.
So this should actually be the final one. So let's just get into part 4 of my student tried to kill me. All right. So after the little girl returned to school, we have to pretend like basically like nothing happened. It was just go on with the school year and just move on from the school year. Throughout the school year, it was only like a couple of months left over. There were no huge incidents, and I think that's because I was like on my P's and Q's and I wasn't going to allow anything, because I literally, when she would turn, it would be like, I'm watching you, girl. It was mainly like me trying to keep the kids best interests, just to keep the kids safe and just to get through it and push through it. There was no support, so the only thing I could do was push through and figure it out. So to that May of the school year, my husband and I, we sold our house and we bought a new house in another state. So I was going to stay at the school that I was at, or I spoke to my husband about moving schools because of the incidents and just not feeling supported enough. But in order to do that, I had to find another job because I'm not a person that quits one job until I have a job lined up. So once the new school year um, came up, I decided I'm going to just stay because the transition was a lot and I couldn't find a new job in my new state without switching my license. And I needed to switch my license over from one state to the next state, and it wasn't an easy process. When the school year started, this is when it got a little awkward and weird for me. I was just a general education teacher. I am supposed to have general education students in my classroom, and just I got my roster on like the second day of school because they waited a very long time and then they gave me a roster like second day of school. I saw all of these IEP, like 8 out of 19 kids. That already triggered me, and I was like, I'm not a special education teacher, so why do I have so many special education students? Right away, I was like, I need to talk to someone because if I wanted to have a ton of special education students, I would have gotten certified. So right away, I reached out to admin and I was like, I don't understand how I got this roster. I am not a special education teacher. I'm not capable of doing it. I'm not comfortable. I'm a general education teacher and I cannot teach a special ed class. And I want to not that I'm not capable, but that's just not what I went to school for, and I didn't feel at that time I didn't feel comfortable in myself to deal with the behaviors and to teach on that academic level of what those kids may have needed from me. So I thought reaching out to them before before school actually started, because teachers go back before the kids get there. And I was telling them before the kids got there a week before, like, I don't think I can do it. And I was told that I just had to do it. That was the schedule I was given. There was no way they were going to make a change. And I was just stuck with that schedule. So from that day, I knew in my head, this is not going to work out for me. And I would probably not be able to stay here. When I had one meeting and one conversation with one person from the admin team, I remember so clearly the person was like, last year, your teaching partners in the other fourth grade level had this special ed class and they had all the behaviors and they weren't able to handle it. We think that you would be more capable of, or you would do better in this position. This will be more fit for you with the way you teach or the way you have classroom management. And let me tell you, the compliments are great, but no, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't go to school for it. And I brought up in the conversation, if I'm not getting paid more, I'm not doing more. And what a lot of people don't understand, when you have multiple IEPs in your classroom, that consists of a lot of meetings. And at some point, because I had so many, I did multiple IEP meetings on my lunchtime. And I was just like, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting paid extra to be a special education teacher, so I'm not going to do it. Fast forward to the school year starting, I get the kids, and I can tell you, I kid you not, the class was exactly what I expected. The behaviors were poof. The academics were extremely low. I was working harder than I ever worked as a teacher, and they gave me some push in teachers, like other special education teachers, to push in. I don't know if you ever co-taught. I don't co-teach. I don't like that. We got to October and I was like, I can't do it. Like, I wasn't getting along with the co-teacher that they gave me. I didn't like the way she did her job, and I'm sure she probably didn't like the way I did mine, I guess. But I told them, I can't do this. So I started looking for a job in the new area that I was in my new neighborhood, and I was like, I'm leaving. I didn't tell them I was leaving, but mentally I said to myself, I'm leaving. I started taking off one day per week. I had like 12 or 13 vacation days, sick days, and I was like, I am going to take off each day, and every time I take off, I'm going to go to an interview. And I think they started getting the gist of it because I was taking off like no one's business. It would just be like Wednesday, I'm taking off, got an interview. I literally lined up like 7 or 8 interviews. I weighed my options. The schools were calling back. I had interviews like 3 per week, and I was getting them, but I wanted to be in the district of my area because I wanted to teach where my kids go. And then finally, I got 2 interviews in the district where my neighborhood was. And that's really, really where I wanted to be. So I had one on a Thursday. That's the one I really, really wanted. And then I had one on a Friday that I didn't really want that bad. I didn't like the school. It was too small. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I know I'm not going to like it. But I was like, I have to get my foot in the door. I went to both interviews. The one on Friday, as soon as I left, they called me and hired me like basically on the spot. It was like, I was like, whatever, foot is in the door, let's just do it. It's tricky because then I had to tell my old job that, like, I'm leaving, and I was a little younger than what I am now. So I told them, and then they were like, well, you have to do a 60-day hold. And the other job wanted me to start in 2 weeks. And then they went to, if you don't do the 60-day hold, we will rebuke your license and you won't be able to renew it anywhere else. So teachers can't just quit unless it's like a huge thing, or like you just can't quit, because if you just leave, there's a possibility that you can lose your license and you won't be able to get a license somewhere else. It's kind of like you eloped, like you just left. You can't do that. They became like super bitter. They started like telling me that they were going to take my license, obviously, and I wasn't going for it, and I didn't want to lose the position. So I had to like reach out to the I believe it was like the superintendent of the district. And let me tell you, reaching out to the superintendent and going over the admin of the building. So I went ahead and I wrote admin this long email letting her know all the things that I've been through, the extensive and extreme behaviors that I've like witnessed. And she responded within probably 5 minutes of the email. So I know a lot of you guys have been like wondering or asking for the part 5 of like when my student tried to kill me by Googling it while I was teaching in the classroom. So just a quick recap, I had to reach out to admin because I finally decided that I didn't want I didn't want to work at the school anymore. It was just a done deal. I had moved to a whole new state and I was commuting back and forth. And then the class that I got was just like, I just felt like they were just giving me the poopy end of the stick because they felt as if I handled the other bad situation so well that I will be able to handle anything they throw at me, and I didn't like that. So with that being said, I was like, I want to leave. But when I was trying to leave, they told me that I was in contract and I had to stay for, I believe it was 60 days or until they find a new teacher. Mind you, it is so hard to find a teacher in any school. It's literally like they'll interview. The spots will be open for so long, and in certain environments, teachers don't want to work in certain classrooms. So the listing will be open for so long, and you'll just be sitting there waiting. Because I already knew I didn't want to wait there anymore. I wanted to be at a new school right away, and I wanted to be with my kids and away from this environment and put into a better one. I didn't have 60 days to wait. Like I said in the last video, I had interviewed for so many positions, and I finally got the one that not the one that I wanted, but I got one in the district that I wanted. When I went to my interview, they asked, when can I start? And I already told them, I'm going to get out of my contract and then I'll let you guys know right away. But in my head, it was next week. I went ahead because when I spoke to admin, they said that I had to be held, or if I left, I would lose my license, or they'll hold my license in the state of Pennsylvania. But I wanted to be in a different state anyway, but they were telling me they would hold my license, and I was like, I can't do that. I don't want my license held anywhere. So I needed to find another out. So with that being said, I went ahead and I contacted the superintendent. And I reached out to her and I wrote her this long email detailing all the things that have happened. And then I let her know the classroom environment I was given after. I let her know about the punishments I was given to the kids or repercussions when all of these serious things have happened, and why I felt unsafe, or why I felt like this school environment wasn't. I got back to the email pretty quickly saying that she had no idea what was going on. And I think sometimes in certain schools they try to hold things in-house and they don't let things out because they don't want like anyone else involved, which I get, because you don't, like, if you can handle it in-house, handle it. But if it's serious enough, then you should tell whoever you need to tell. But the superintendent, she was so nice. I'm not going to say her name, but she was so nice about it. She literally was just like, I never knew this was happening. Is there anything that we can do personally that'll make you feel better? Can you stay until the next year? And I promised I was already tapped out, so I was just like, no, the only thing that you can do to make me happy would be to release me, allow me to leave the school. So she asked on a date that I wanted to leave, and I told her like the following week. And it was coming up for Thanksgiving break and stuff like that. So I just wanted to be done the week before Thanksgiving and then start my new school after Thanksgiving break, like come in perfectly fine. She didn't allow me to have the date that I wanted. She actually let me have an earlier date, which was fine because I got she let me have the week before the week of Thanksgiving. So it was the week of Thanksgiving break, and then that week that they had school up until Thanksgiving break, and then the week before that. So I left the week before that, which gave me the whole week to go into the building and get all of my things out of the building and bring them with me to my new school. And I got my stuff out perfectly fine. I said my goodbyes, but I heard a few like chatters. It was like different rumors being spread, like, oh, she's leaving because she wants more pay. Honestly, I do. I'm not going to teach. I'm not going to do more compared to someone that's doing less and get the same pay. So if that was a thing and there was no teacher pay scale, then yes, I would love to get paid for the more work, but you don't get that because it's a teacher. And the issue was never that I didn't want to have children with special needs or IEPs in my classroom. It was that I wanted it to be split amongst the whole grade level. You have a classroom full of behaviors, learning disabilities, and like you just have those students all mixed together. And then you have 2 or 3 sprinkled in that it's like could have been in the middle ground classrooms. It doesn't lead for success, because then you have these 5 kids that can learn and are able to sit still, are able to do things on a straight and narrow, and then you have students that have behavioral issues that are eloping from the classroom, and then you have students that need extra attention. And you're one teacher, you can't do that all. Writing back, what did you expect? Did you just want a class? Do you want them to be separate? Hell no, I never said that. I said I didn't want them all built in one classroom, because that's not how it should be. The students that have IEPs, learning disabilities, or anything like that makes them like special needs, or anything that makes them forces them to need extra attention, should be split amongst the whole grade level. And if there's 30 of them and there's 10 5th grade classes or 4th grade classes, every class should get something, unless it's like a gifted program or like an immersion program. Like every class should get some, and that is the way it should be. So at my school that I'm at now, that is the way it is. We all have students who need a little extra help, and we've all split them amongst the grade level. They are not compacted into one. I was released and I was able to start my new school. That school, I mean, when I started my new school, no school is perfect. I want to make sure that I never expected to leave one school with their issues and then go to a school that is perfect. But my next school that I went to, I went in on a half a year. And when I got there, it was a lower grade that I was teaching, younger kids. And actually, I didn't like it at first. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to like it. But that grade, I actually really loved those kids. I had a special bond with them. Even though I came in half a year, I was relieving a teacher that was leaving as well. And I actually love those kids. only issue, and I feel like I always walk into like the worst situations. I came in half a year and I had a co-teacher, and one of the students, I guess her and the old teacher felt like this student had like needed more. They set up a conference with the parent, and it was the mom, and I literally was a weekend. I started that Monday. It was the conference on Friday, and the conference was to speak on the kid, just them seeing him unfocused. So the mom comes in and she's asking me, do I see it? Bro, I've only been here for 5 days. My co-teacher at the time literally decides to say, you know, maybe he needs medication. And I was like, what the like, the mom started crying, and I was like, what the and then the poor mom looks at me and she's like, do you think he needs medication, with snot booger tears coming out of her eyes? I said to myself, I don't know. You know, I don't know the kid, I don't know you, I don't know anything about the situation. But from my personal experience, I cannot recommend anything. I am not a doctor. And from that day on, I knew that it wasn't just me, it was teaching in general.
Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, being a former IEP student, meaning I was in those classes she talked about, I wonder if all teachers felt that way. Because when I was coming up, I used to feel like teachers would personally not want me in their classroom. And I didn't know for sure, because, you know, they never just flat came out and said what she said. But it definitely triggered me when I heard her say, like, I got the poopy end of the stick. I had 8 students. Now, come on, y'all. 8 students is not the whole 4th grade classroom. If anything, each classroom probably has between 5 to 6 of those students in their classroom, and she probably just has more than the others. So it kind of triggered me a little bit to be like, I got the poopy end of the stick because of, you know, I got all these kids with special needs. I thought teachers went to school to teach kids with special needs. I thought the whole point of going to school and being a teacher is because you thought you want to help kids that are challenged educationally. Where is the benefit of going to teach a kid that's already smart, that already knows everything? I hate when teachers take the initiative to tell somebody what they should do to their children when it comes to medication. You might want to get that kid some therapy, some help, you know, maybe spend a little more time with your kids, get to know them a little bit more. Medicine is not always the 100% solution to everything.
At my school, they usually had a separate teacher. Like, they'll probably be with that separate teacher for a while, and then they'll go to the other classrooms with the other students.
Yeah.
So she probably wasn't specialized in it, and, you know, she just wasn't comfortable. And maybe if she had more help, or they said, I'll give you more pay, maybe we can take some more courses in college and you can learn that, then, you know, it would have worked moving forward. Honestly, I think she was just fed up at that point from the year prior to that. And then how they just didn't consider how she felt about everything. So she was already like, she was gonna leave regardless that year.
Some people just have the mental capacity for this, some people don't, you know? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comment section below. If you guys are interested in following that creator, her name will be linked in the description box below. It seems like she goes on to do more story time, so if you guys want to follow her for more updates, please follow her for more updates. But that's all we got for today, Messy Family. We will see you guys in the next story time.